Alrighty guys, here we go again. It's January 28th and we'll do our market recap for the day. We are looking at the chart of the E-Mini S&P Futures, and that trend line on here that we see here is the one we drew in the previous video. We drew that in the last session, and we see that the price was running down. We see it slow down, and we talked about yesterday's close being higher than the open and maybe the market rallying. Well, it looks like the market started to rally as we can see prices pushed up, but then today, in today's trading, instead of getting in a rally and pushing up, they gave that back to the market. So let me crack open an intraday chart, and what we're talking about here was here's the rally and that strong move up, and then today's trading activity on this 30-minute time frame, we see it gave it back to the market, gave it back, and we see it drop back down. In today's after-hour trading, let me zoom in on this so you can see this okay. After the market closed right here where this dotted line is, we see that the market's kind of running sideways and trading, showing some downward pressure. I see a pattern in here on the chart that I would consider an inverted cup and handle, very minute pattern, but if that support zone breaks, that's the daily low. And what we're talking about is price taking out the daily candle low. So if we're looking at that daily candle low, let me go ahead and get rid of the drawing here. We're talking about it taking out today's candle low. Clear violation of the trend, and then the question would be, well, how far could it drop if we see it take that out instead of rallying as we might have anticipated? And I would drop back on the chart and I'd look for the next support resistance zones, and really we don't have a solid support zone till we get down into, this is what we've got down here as an old resistance ceiling, and it checked off that one time right here. The next zone is clear down between this old support resistance ceiling, and so there's some room for it to drop. We could see it come down into this neighborhood, then rally. It could still rally from where it's at, or if we do see a continued drop, again, these would be places to pay attention to. Now, I would like to also revisit the quick trading ideas we came up with, and let's start out with the quick trading idea on MTL. So I have that chart open over here. Let me grab that chart, MTL, and we had talked about it 2 days ago, and I think our trade identification, it was based off of this old support resistance zone, and what we saw was this inverted hammer type candle trading down here at support, and we said, hey, if we see prices move up, we talked about confirmation upwards, buying it if it went above the candlestick high or intraday pivots, shooting for the known resistance, and putting a stop loss below that support zone. Well, what ended up happening is it never triggered. The trade never triggered because it never confirmed upwards, and we've seen prices drop down. Now, this could still be a valid trade setup because it is now trading down at the trend zone. However, the real difficulty with this is if we were to do the same kind of triggering technique of buying above the candlestick high, our trigger's out here at 22.50, and our stop loss would be down here at 20. So the risk profile becomes exponentially larger because of the distance to entry on a daily chart. Well, it looks to me as if this is still possibly slowing down. The distance between those candlestick bottoms has decreased, so there still probably is some slowing momentum. But I can't use that trigger and that stop loss as effectively because the risk gets relatively large when you compare it to the potential upside reward. And so the solution for me as a trader to get around that is to take that intraday. So I'd go down and I'd take it, 15-minute chart. Let's go 15 minutes and load that up. And this would be a real challenging one to enter because that daily highs clear out here, and if I was really feeling like I wanted to enter this trade, which I'm not, I would be able to come down to these 15-minute pivot highs and take an aggressive entry off of the high because in theory it is essentially oversold. It's gone range down. So you buy above that little pivot high, you do the stop loss down below the low, and now let me squeeze in the history here. You have a very small risk and a huge reward, and that is a viable entry. You'd be looking at picking it up near 21, again with some upward confirmation, and shooting for that 26.50 for a swing trade. For a day trader, this stock has about $1.60 ATR. We'd be shooting for that. Another trigger technique you could do is wait for it to trigger above trend line, and that would put you out about 21.50 for your purchase price. Maybe between 21.50 and 22 would be an okay area to confirm on that. This particular trade idea was an okay idea. It didn't trigger. That's, again, not a problem. This one I'm not feeling as confident about anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it out. Let's go ahead and look at the other quick trading idea we had. And let me cascade those again and grab it. We had talked about, and I accidentally gave you guys the wrong symbol. It was late at night, and I looked at that symbol, and I thought it said EWV, but it says EVVV, so it's E-triple-V. And we had looked at this yesterday, and what we talked about was the big expanded move up. So let me get this in here so we can see it. We talked about it blowing up above resistance, going huge, and then dropping back. We said that the volume picture was lightening up on the sell-off, and we saw that engulfing bullish candle. We saw the volume picking up a bit, and we said, hey, this could be a good time to buy. And we said, hey, let's look at buying this above the candlestick high and putting a stop loss below the candlestick low. This time we were right, and so far it's moved in the right direction based off of our anticipation off of this retracement. So we got triggered in on this. Now, as a trader, if I'm owning this stock, I got triggered in around 14.50. I'm going to bring my stop loss up underneath the candlestick low, and we're going to hope that it runs up. I just reduced my risk profile. We're going to hope that we can see it run up over the next couple of days, and we'll be looking to sell this near resistance. $15 to $16 out in that range. Maybe on the high end, you're talking $16.50 or so. If I were to, forecast out off of trend peaks or something, you're, top end $16.50. But the EVVV is a pretty good little setup, and it is working out very well so far. So that ought to do it for tonight. I will catch up with you all tomorrow, and we'll do a weekly wrap-up, and we'll go into the weekend and see what we come up with for next week. Have a great one, and it's been my pleasure having you watch this video. Thank you.